I think we do, because we have Ryan and we have Carol and we have Jonah.
Yeah.
All right. So Kelly, one of our team members, she's listed and she is the lead Salesforce consultant for the project. She is going to do the presentation. I just wanted to start off by just level setting. So what this session is for, this isn't like a solution design session. What this is going to be is us walking, based on the feedback we got during the meeting and then the meeting minutes I did. It seemed like it would be good for the team to see sort of a standard best practice type of opportunity tracking process as it is in Salesforce, and we will be showing it to you in your Salesforce org in a sandbox. The sandbox environment, for those who may not be familiar with that term, that's a test environment that just gets created from your production environment. There's no extra cost or anything. Salesforce gives you a bunch of developer sandboxes for free as part of the implementation, so we're using one of those. And what we're going to do is just step you through how we think an overall opportunity tracking should work from a high level standpoint. Some of this stuff will be specific to you, some of it won't, but we think it'll give you guys a good view to be able to see and then ask more questions and understand sort of the terminology and things like that. Feel free to ask questions throughout. We'd rather you ask questions as stuff is in context, so we don't wait till the end and then maybe we'll lose some of the context or something. And I think for the folks who just got on, we are recording the session for, so we can distribute that out if other folks want to see it or view it, and we'll post it up in Basecamp, which Spencer will talk about Basecamp a little bit at the end. So with that, I am going to turn it over to my sister Kelly, and she can take it away.
Okay, everyone, I just want to thank everyone quickly for taking some time this afternoon, and Murray, I appreciate the intro, so thank you for that. So just to let everyone know, I do have a series of slides that I've developed that I want to guide me through, my kind of presentation here today. But I'm also going to be toggling between the Sandbox Salesforce environment as well. So what I will do is I'll kind of introduce a particular topic and explain, exactly what we'll be talking about, and then we'll kind of dive into the Salesforce org, and I'll show you in real time some more information about that particular topic and how it pertains to EaglePicher. And Murray is absolutely correct. The way that I generally like to run these types of meetings personally is I really want people to chime in. So if you have a question or you would like further clarification on a particular item or detail that I'm describing, please feel free to speak up, because if you have a particular question, the odds of someone else having that question as well are very high. So please don't be shy and stop me if, if you have any additional input on a particular topic. So in particular, the specific items that we will be covering today revolves around a user's homepage dashboard. We'll be talking about accounts and contacts, opportunities as it relates to the space, aviation, commercial, and defense divisions. We'll be addressing products as well as reports and dashboards. So I always just like to include a slide quickly on Salesforce terminology. And I do my best to use Salesforce terminology specifically because it not only gets you and your users and the project team familiar with the terms that we use when we talk about Salesforce, but it's also a good idea to become familiar with these terms, as you are interacting with Salesforce in the future, in accessing different support articles and training sessions. It is definitely best practice to become familiar with these terms. So as we talk about objects themselves are areas in Salesforce where you store information. And the object is the overall definition of that information that you are storing. So in particular, a contact is an object, an account is an object, as well as an opportunity. And as we move through our implementation project, we'll definitely be interfacing with additional Salesforce objects as well. A field is an actual location on a specific object that stores information. So a particular field can have different types. So we can have number fields or text fields or drop downs, which we call pick lists. And these fields hold specific data for a record on an object. Tabs are the area in Salesforce that allow you to navigate between different objects in the system. And I'll be able to point out specifically exactly what that is when we jump into the Salesforce environment. And then the plus symbol is a way for a user to access all of the tabs and all of the objects that they have access to as a user. So when we're talking about the homepage dashboard, and we'll round out the meeting with a dashboard conversation as well, but when you log in and you're on the particular homepage as a user, you will see that there is a component on the homepage that is specific to a dashboard. And that dashboard can be configured on the user-by-user basis. So if you have a certain manager of a particular group of users that wants their dashboard to be very specific to the users that that manager manages on a day-to-day basis, we're able to configure a particular dashboard, which is that visual representation of data. We're able to configure that on that specific individual's dashboard. So what I've kind of highlighted here in my screenshot is that while we're on the home page, we can identify the dashboard component on the home page, and a user is able to move through and actually go through and customize their page. And when they customize their home page, Salesforce will ask you, you want to customize your home page dashboard? Here are the dashboards that you've recently viewed or other dashboards that you as a user or as a manager have access to. Which dashboard would you like to configure for your homepage? So that is all standard Salesforce functionality that we'll be able to walk through as we move through the different milestones in our project. So the next thing I want to touch on is accounts. And accounts is an object in Salesforce. And as you can see, an account is also a tab in the tab ribbon in your Salesforce instance. And when you look at accounts, you can see that we have a series of sample accounts included into your sandbox environment. And I want to actually jump into this environment so you can see what this looks like live. So I'm in my sandbox environment. Now please be aware that the data that we've added here in the configuration is, again, in a testing environment. This data is test data. So don't be thrown off by some of the names of the organizations or the names of the individuals. This is specifically for test and demo purposes. So when I'm looking at the accounts tab, oh, sorry about that, got kicked out. When I'm looking at the accounts tab, what I can see is when it brings me to this particular area in Salesforce, it prompts me as a user, what are the recent accounts that I have recently looked at as a user? So when I'm on the accounts tab, I can see my accounts list. I also have the option to isolate a particular drop down here. So I can look at all accounts, accounts that I particularly own as a user, or accounts that I've recently viewed. So I'm just going to choose all accounts and I'm going to hit go. I want to look at all the accounts that I have in the system. So as I look at my account list, I can see that ABC Labs is a customer of mine. So I'm going to move through and I'm going to click on this link and it's going to bring me to the account record. And when I look at the account record, there's a few things that I just want to identify as I look at this record. I can see the name of the account here at the top of the record, and I can move through and look specifically at the account detail. So here we identify the account name and who at the organization is the owner of this account. Because I created this account, I am the owner. I can identify the type, any information about this account's website. I can input a text-based description of this account, and I can also establish an account hierarchy that allows me to create a subset of accounts in a parent-child relationship to be able to view my accounts in like a grid tiered structure. I could include information about phone, industry, and employee information. There's an area on the account page where I can actually drop inline report graphs, so that this particular report just is not showing data right now. And as I scroll down on the account record, what we're looking at is what's called a related list. So I'm looking at related data to my ABC Labs account. So I'm looking at opportunities that are related to ABC Labs, and I'm also looking at contacts, which are individuals who work at this particular account. So if I'm looking at my list of contacts, I can see Joanne, David, and Jacob, and those are all individuals that I've worked with at ABC Labs. They work at this organization. So if I click on Joanne's record and I open this in a new tab, I've now moved to an additional object. So let's go back to our presentation here. So we've reviewed an account, and we've reviewed our related lists, and now we're looking at contacts. So contacts are individuals that are associated with an account, and they have their own specific record in Salesforce. And the information that can be organized on an account, I generally am pretty straightforward, and I say, you know, the account, the contact detail is traditionally your business card data, so your contact data for that particular individual. But we also, you know, have the ability to organize custom fields as well. That would be, you know, specific and custom to your particular organization. So you can see in this particular screenshot that I'm on the accounts or on the contacts tab, and I'm looking at a particular contact record, and I see the contact detail information for Howard Jones, and he works at the Acme account, and he has all of his contact information filled out, address information, etc. When I'm also looking at an account record, a contact record, I'm also able to isolate what opportunities have I so far associated with a particular contact. So I'm able to see the opportunities related list for a particular contact record. So if I go back to my contact for Joanne, I can see that if I had opportunities associated with Joanne, I could not only look at her contact page and see her contact information, but I'd also be able to dive right into any opportunities that as a salesperson I'm currently working. Does anyone have any questions about accounts and contacts before I move forward?
I don't. No, are we going to go over how to enter in a new opportunity at some point as well? I assume that's one of the things that we'll do, Kelly. Is that true?
Yep. So my next topic is opportunities.
Okay.
So I can show you specifically how to enter, and I also have some sample records that we can go over as well.
Okay. Let's, if we could, just start with the typical person like me, who is one of the business development managers, and I've just come across an opportunity and I want to input it into Salesforce. Okay.
All right, great. So what we've done with opportunities is we have customized based on your 4 main divisions. So we've leveraged the aviation, commercial, defense, and space areas for an opportunity. And what those are called it's called an opportunity record type. So what you can see in my screenshot here is when you choose the new button, so as a user you'd be in Salesforce and you would click new, it's going to ask you, of my 4 types, what type of opportunity are you trying to create?
And that's a pull down menu, right?
Yep, it is. So I'm going to go to my opportunities, and just like I explained on the accounts tab, when I go to my opportunities tab, I'm able to isolate and view the recent records that I have currently looked at.
Okay.
So I've been working in the system, I've been looking at records, building reports, so I can see all my recent opportunities, which is really convenient when you're trying to jump back and forth between records. You know, if you're constantly moving back to a particular opportunity record, It does present itself when you move to the Opportunity tab. But
Right.
if I'm clicking Create New, I am presented with that pull-down menu. So space, aviation, commercial, defense. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a space opportunity. I choose space, and I click Continue. And when I click Continue, it's going to ask me for a few pieces of data. And those few pieces of data, you can see by looking at my screen, are very clearly highlighted with a red bar.
Okay.
So if the user does not put in these pieces of data, then the user cannot move forward. So we have to name the opportunity. We have to associate an account to the opportunity.
Hey,
We
Kelly?
must include,
Hey,
Yep.
Kelly? I think what we should do for this, because especially since it says account name, in most instances, what you're going to be if we go back to the first thing. So if I think the example you gave us was the BD manager or user is driving around or something, and they see an opportunity they want to add in. The first thing you would do is search for the account, right? So you would first find the account that's related, that you want to use. And then from there, the normal way that happens is, so just open an account. It doesn't matter which account. So usually what would happen is you'd find the account that it's related to, and then from there you'd create a new opportunity right from that account.
Well, no, actually what she was doing in the beginning is probably more in line with, of course you could do it that way, Murray.
Okay.
And if we had there's several accounts that we have that are existing business, and it's a plethora of prime contractors or government folks. But going forward, we will also have new opportunities that we'll have to classify. Is it space? Is it defense? Is it aviation? Or is it commercial? So what Kelly was doing was exactly kind of what I wanted to see, in that this is something that's new. We're going to choose a category, and she chose space. And then from there, if you scroll up, or go back to where we are, just go with opportunities.
Sure.
And then click New. And then go ahead and choose space,
Yeah, sure.
whatever you want.
So I just want to clarify and kind of echo what Murray is saying as well. And I think as we go through this a little bit more, we can figure out exactly what is easiest for the user to kind of how they want to approach this. But from both perspectives, whether we're creating an opportunity here from the Opportunity tab as I'm showing you, or from the account as Murray was also instructing, the user will be prompted with this drop-down screen.
Yeah, exactly. So taking it to the, now if we went this route, and if you choose any one of those, your choice, you want to go to space, okay, let's go space, and then hit continue.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, and the opportunity name, or the account is where we can search the hourglass, and then that should be our existing, like I could, if there was an account before, I could find it in the account name by typing in some, Lockheed, hitting search,
Correct.
And then it comes up, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
that's
like you can see as I start typing ABC Labs, see how it says my recent items? Yes, I can choose that account. That lookup it's what it is. It's a lookup to my account object.
Absolutely. Gotcha. Okay, I'm tracking. So then we choose that. And then the name is just whatever we go ahead, Murray. Sorry.
That's smart. Let me break it. So, Kelly, click on the hourglass, please, for the account. Right. So
we also have this new option. I think that's is that what you're going to talk about, Murray?
Right. So the reason I bring this up, or you can do from the account, is from a best practice standpoint, you always, unless you absolutely know for sure the account doesn't exist, you always want to instruct your folks to do a search for the account, because one of the worst things that happens in systems is you end up with duplicates, right? And the only way to avoid that, I mean, there's a couple of apps, but we're not going down that route right now. But there's a couple of even free do catcher apps. But from a
Yeah.
best practice standpoint, you always want to instruct your team to search for that account first, right? And you don't want to search the full name. You just want to search like the first 3 characters because somebody may have abbreviated it. Because one of the worst things you can have in your system is bad data, and duplicate data is bad data.
Yeah, understood. I ran into that a lot in my last company that used Salesforce as well. But the way we avoided it, sometimes, like especially at a company like Raytheon or Lockheed or Boeing, where they have different divisions, and we might want to break out that, and for this particular potential project or opportunity, it's Boeing Defense. But in another one, it might be Boeing Aviation, and they have separate addresses. Boeing Aviation is at St. Louis, right? Boeing Defense is somewhere, maybe it's Texas or somewhere else, right? So in that sense, if we were back on the, click out of the window that you're in right now, and if you type in ABC Labs there might be more than one ABC lab.
Sure. So I think that in the data scenario that you're outlining here for Boeing specifically, what we would want to do is leverage the account hierarchy that I mentioned before when we were reviewing the account object.
Yeah.
And to echo Murray's point as well, if from a user's perspective, if you know that you're starting an opportunity with a particular division at Boeing, then you would, if you wanted to, you would go to that particular division account and create the division specifically create the opportunity specifically from that division's account page. That way you know you are choosing the appropriate account.
Okay, run me through that real quick. I assume you would choose accounts right next to leads, right? Right to the right of contacts. Is that how you would do it?
No, so actually, what we found the best way to do it is, you see the search bar up there, the big search.
Yes.
So just type in ABC there, Kelly. All right. You really didn't need to ask it, but that's all right. So what'll happen is, so like if you had typed in Boeing, and you see how it separates out accounts and contacts. If there were like 4 Boeing accounts, even if they're child accounts, they would all be listed here with their full name, right?
And then you would, for the sake of this argument, then we would choose, even though there's only one, we would choose the appropriate one and click it, and you'll go ahead and she can do that now. She can click ABC Labs, right? Yep. Yeah, and that would be the next step. And then now we have to, but from here, how do we create a new opportunity from this page?
Sure. So, I can walk through that right now. So I'm on the
Kelly,
account.
Before you scroll down, just scroll back up, just real quick, so we can make sure they're all options. You can also do it. You see the menu right there up top where it says that? You can also do it from right there. If you're really good with your mouse movement, you can do it there and click New Opportunity.
Oh,
right?
Okay, gotcha.
Or you can scroll down to the related list and do it there.
Okay, so it's like a it's not really a pull down, it's like a pop-up right there.
Yeah, that's a pop-up for all the related lists are right there. Go ahead, Kelly, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead and choose that.
Sure, so when I choose this New Opportunity button, it's going to take me to that same interface that we're used to seeing with this drop-down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to choose space, choose continue, and now it knows that this is the account that I want to create my opportunity for. It takes the guesswork out of that step because we've already started on the account that we know we want to create the opportunity record for.
Okay, so just name this something generic right now and sample. Yeah.
While she's typing that in, another sort of best practice thing we always recommend is to come up with a naming convention. Some folks say, okay, it's going to be the first 4 of the account and then something, but just a naming convention to go forward. It's not essential, but it is,
Yes, obviously. Going forward internally, we'll have to fine-tune this process internally. Okay, so when you the pull-down menu type, let's see what's in there. Existing business, okay.
And we're able to configure these items as well.
Yeah, this is where we need chemistry. If the stuff that Carol and I had talked about in previous calls, I don't have that list right in front.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that list for right now. So what we're doing right now today is just sort of stepping you through and like type. We can put in there whatever we need when we create the data dictionary. That'll include that information. This presentation today is just sort of to give you a flow and help you see what's possible and some of the recommendations we have. But for sure, if you know things off the top of your head, like I said, we're recording this, so we will like you said, chemistry. So if you know stuff off the top of your head, for sure, go ahead and tell us. But I don't want you to spend a whole lot of time searching for things right now.
No, it's just okay. But eventually, when we build in the opportunity information, like applicate, I can't. Carol, if you can remember, if you have it in front of you, some of the things that we'd wanted as pull down menus. I know chemistry was one. I don't know if it was application like portable power or thermal or something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Market probably, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's summary. There is just no going forward. We will have this area here is important in that we want to be able to differentiate between some categories. One of it being that we're a battery company, we have different chemistries. That's very important because that means that the different business units are going to be affected by this opportunity. And whether there will be things that we'll want to carve out here, just going forward, just to let you know.
For sure, and we'll go. When we create a data dictionary, which we're starting on this week, then for sure we will make sure that we get all of the different, because this isn't the only one. There's going to be a couple other pick list values that you're going to want to update and change as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for the sake of adding some data, I'm going to deem this opportunity as new business. And then, as I mentioned before with the required fields, the user must input, at this point, creating a new opportunity, an expected close date. So I'm just going to put it as the 31st of August. Obviously, in your particular opportunity, you will have more insight into that. Right. And then we're also going to choose the stage of this opportunity. So based on some of the documentation from our previous conversations, we were able to outline RFI, white paper, RFQ, bid, and then the closed stages, which are closed won and closed lost.
Yeah.
And do you have any questions about opportunity stage?
I think if you do, that looks like what we gave you, right? RFI, white paper, RFQ, correct. Bid. Yeah. Okay. Correct. Yep. Okay, so
one thing that we will want to have a follow-up conversation on specifically around the stages and how the opportunity stages relate to the probability. So at a stage that you are at, we are able to set a probability that goes in conjunction with the opportunity stage, and we can configure that based on your internal conversations of how we should move forward with those calculations.
No, that's a great point. Like RFI could have a 10% default, and then something when you get all the way up to the RFQ, it might go to something like 30% or something like that, or depending on I got you. I understand.
Okay, great.
What you mean there? Yep.
Yep. So those two fields are related, and then the user is also able to put in an opportunity amount, which is a currency field. So I'm just going to put in 200,000 for this particular deal.
Yeah.
I don't want to skip over primary campaign source. It is a standard Salesforce field that relates specifically to marketing campaigns, which I won't dive into today, but just to note that briefly. The description field, the user is able to add in a description as to what this opportunity is.
Yeah.
You can see the record type that we chose is space.
Yeah.
The next step is another text field for a user to note what the next step is for this opportunity. Lead source is where this opportunity originated. This is a pick list, like a drop-down value also that we can configure based on what your team currently uses. We can configure these values.
Yeah.
loss reason, and we can configure this also based on if the user is choosing close lost, what type of loss reason are you providing. I did notice that your team did have some minor customizations on this object, and that is what these to-do items are. There were these 3 individual checkboxes that we can do further requirements gathering on to see if these 3 fields are sufficient as to what your team is looking to capture with budget, discovery, and ROI.
Well, I think that the to-do items should be in conjunction with the stage. And because in our business, a white paper means that we have to submit something technical. So if we're at the stage of white paper, the to-do item, the stage should be tied kind of to the to-do, because when you get to the RFQ, the to-do list is different than it is at request for information or if it's at white paper stage. So each
Sure.
one of them have kind of a unique to-do. So if it's possible to tie the to-do items in with the stage, that would be helpful.
Sure. Yeah, I think we have a lot of possibilities of how we can configure that.
Or to make it easier, we list every one of the possibilities as a to-do item, and then you like a radio button and check it if it's that way. From a programming standpoint, I think that'd be easier. Because if I click stage and that changes the to-do field, that's probably, I mean, if we can do that, that'd be good. But another thing too is during the stage, if I have everything listed and I have, like, let's say like the RFI there, right? And one of the tasks associated with an RFI might be to actually submit the information that the end user customer wanted. And if we could check that and then have a little area where we could say, complete on this date, or, submitted by so-and-so, that would be helpful as well. Because the to-do items are usually some type of task that someone or a team has to do. And if we could go through and check off the things as they go, and even kind of put a date associated with when they were complete,
Sure.
by so-and-so, that's also helpful too.
Sure. Yeah, I think based on the information that you just provided, our team can come up with potentially a better solution than the checkbox interface. I think that we could come up with a solution around Salesforce supports tasks and events, and tasks can be assigned to other users in the system, and they can have due dates, and they can have attachments, and we can set up workflows such as email alerts and reminders on particular task items, so that may be a better solution moving forward upon further requirements gathering, rather than just trying to support this functionality through a checkbox.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm just going to save this record. And when I save the record, it brings me right back to the detail page where you can see the data that I've included. You can see also that we have a field included here called weighted amount, and this is a formula field. So you'll notice when I was on the edit page, you did not see this. You did not see this because it's a formula field. The user does not have access to make changes to this field. The way that this is calculated is it calculates the opportunity amount against the probability and will give you a weighted amount value on your opportunity record. And this particular field can be used in all types of reporting and dashboarding as well.
Yeah, forecasting. Yep. Exactly. Okay, good to go there.
Okay, great. So as
Carol,
we
you have
move,
any questions right now?
any more questions from the team as I move forward? So as you move through the opportunity, the user is also prompted to add contact roles, and this is how you particularly add individuals related to the opportunity. So if I choose new contact role, what it does is it knows the contacts that I already have associated under my account. So because we have our opportunity open up under ABC Labs, it gives me Joanne, David, and Jacob. And it
Gotcha.
says, you have Joanne, David, and Jacob as contacts at this account. Who is your primary contact? So we could say David is our primary contact. And then what type of role is David playing on the particular opportunity? So I use my role drop down. And again, this is something else that we can customize specific to your organization. And I can say that David is my executive sponsor for this opportunity. He's my primary contact and my executive sponsor. But maybe Jacob, maybe he's my technical buyer. So I can give Jacob the technical buyer role. And Joanne, I'm going to choose not to associate her to this opportunity. I'm going to choose save. It brings me back to my opportunity record. And you can see that I have added in 2 contact roles, David and Jacob, from ABC Labs.
Okay.
Another item that I wanted to touch on from our agenda is products. And I think that this particular topic, just to intro this conversation, we'll definitely need some more discovery on exactly, you know, the different products and services that EaglePicher provides and how these things are related to an opportunity. So again, just know that this is just demo purposes. But when I'm on an opportunity record, what I can do is I can associate a product, and we can use this hover up at the top. We can associate a product or a set of products to an opportunity record. So as a user, you can go into your opportunity and identify who the opportunity is with, the individuals that you are working with, the close date, the stage that it is at, the amount and the weighted amount. And then we can also scroll down and see what types of products or service offerings that are included in this opportunity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose Add Product. And what I've done is I've just added in a couple sample products here. So for this particular opportunity, let's say that we are going to add custom battery packaging. So I'm just going to click the checkbox here and click Select. And then there's just going to be one of these products for a date for the end of the month. And I'm going to hit Save. So when I get back to my opportunity page, I can see that I've added in a product for a particular quantity and revenue, and I can see the total price as it's built out on the particular opportunity. And as a user adds in opportunity products and builds out the products related to this particular record, it is going to automatically update for you the amount of the opportunity. So as you add in your products and build out the entire, you know, product catalog for a particular opportunity deal, it's going to auto-calculate that for you.
Okay.
So further down on the opportunity here, I just wanted to point this out just from our previous comment regarding the checkboxes. The open activities and the activity history are those tasks that I mentioned. So if I choose new task, I just want to show you what standard out-of-the-box tasks look like. And we do have the ability to customize these as well. So just from seeing and hearing what you've talked about, confirm budget. I can assign this. I'm going to leave this particular task assigned to myself. But I know that I need to confirm the budget by the end of the month. And I'm relating this task to my sample Op 1 opportunity. Giving myself a note. And I'm also telling myself that I want to set a reminder for this particular task. So I'm going to hit Save. And when I go back to the opportunity, you can see that in my open activities, I have a confirm budget activity. I can see its due date, I can see the status, and I can see that it is assigned to me. Once I complete this activity, the activity will be logged in the activity history, and I can then go ahead and report on any completed activities for my opportunity.
Hey, this is Murray. Let me jump in real quick. Just another thing, sort of a best practice is you're going to want to be careful with your reminders in that it's very easy to just sort of make that your default. And then what we've seen a lot of folks do is just get inundated with reminders. So like, because Salesforce is going to, on the reminder date and time, it's going to do a pop-up, on your window when you log into Salesforce. It'll also be on your homepage. But it can get a little annoying if you're sort of by default check the reminder box every time.
Yeah, gotcha. The reminders will not come via email, right? It'll all be based off logging into Salesforce. Is that correct?
Yes. Your standard reminder functionality that I just showed there is that pop-up that Murray just described, yes.
Okay.
But we can talk about any, further requirements that you see fit for how you see the team interfacing with that feature. We can definitely talk about other options down the road for what we can customize. Okay, I'm just going to quickly go back to my slideshow here, make sure that we're not missing anything. So we talked about opportunity layouts. We talked about products and contact roles. And before I move on to reports, I just want to do a quick time check. We're at about 4:45, and we have reports and dashboards left to cover. Does anyone have any questions about opportunities before I move on to reporting?
So far, so good.
Okay, great. All right. So Salesforce reporting out of the box, what you'll see is you have a reports tab in your tab ribbon. On the left-hand side, you'll have a series of report folders. And then you will also see the reports that you have access to run here in the report list. So reports can be built off of any of the objects and the fields that any user has access to. So what I've done is I've created just a couple sample reports based off of the sample opportunity data that I had put into the system, just to kind of give you guys an idea of what the Salesforce reporting module looks like. So as you can see, I'm on my reports tab. I have some report folders on my left-hand side. And these are reports and dashboards that I have recently clicked on. So I want to go over, let's look at a report for opportunities by record type. I have my report title up here at the top. And what's really important also is to look at this time frame box that's right at the top of your report results. So we can see that we're looking at close date in the current fiscal quarter, and we're looking at all opportunities of any status and any probability. And as a user, I can change these drop downs to quickly customize my report on the fly. I can also change my time frame. So this report is set to current fiscal quarter, but I can inline change my dates here from the from and to. I can also use my range to change a different time frame. So if I want to look at current fiscal year instead of fiscal quarter, I have the ability to change that in the time frame box on the reporting module. So when I'm looking at my report data, what I've customized is what's called a summarized report. So I've summarized my report by opportunity record type. So you can see for my opportunity record types for commercial that have a close date in my defined time frame, here are my opportunity records that fall under that criteria. You can see the account name, the opportunity name, what type of opportunity, lead source, amount, close date, so on and so forth.
And this was all under the business unit commercial.
Yep, so I'm looking at opportunity record type commercial, and then I can look at opportunity record type
defense. Gotcha,
opportunity record type base.
Okay.
And as I change and I adjust my time frames, you'll see that my data will also change.
Yeah.
So I widened my time frame, and now I have more data.
I got you. This is pretty standard stuff. Just some feedback. We'll want to add, and this is something that we talked about a couple weeks ago on the call, in the report. We want to add PM contact, BDM contact. There's some fields other than just opportunity owner that we'll want to add here.
Sure.
Probability, fiscal, all that kind of stuff, age, that's all great stuff, but there are some other fields that I think myself or Carol or someone mentioned a couple weeks ago. So you guys probably have that in your notes somewhere. Just be aware that we'll want that stuff in there too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, great. And the way that the reporting module works, it's pretty awesome because as we customize the object and we add and customize fields to the opportunity, we can really easily pull them into any reports that already exist or reports that we're creating. So if I choose customize, and maybe you like this opportunities by record type report, but you say, Kelly, I really need the weighted value on that report. All I need to do is find that field and drop it into my report and rerun, and now I've easily added an additional data point to my report. So we can do that. We can do that for the other fields and the other data points that you mentioned as we build out and as we further customize your objects.
Yeah, exactly. I just realized that in order for the report to spit out that information on the opportunity page, we have to input that information, like who is the program manager, who is the business development manager, who's the business development or the contracts person, and a lot of that stuff that we might want to have when we print the reports.
Sure. Yeah. No. Absolutely. And I've definitely seen those types of requirements before. And there's definitely Salesforce features. Specifically, opportunity team is something that we can dive into at a later session, and I can explain to your team exactly how that works, and show you how that would work in the reporting module as well.
Okay. Good stuff. We have 9 more minutes.
Okay. 9 more minutes.
What else?
Okay. Okay. The last remaining piece we have is dashboards. So let me just go back to my PowerPoint here. So we talked about reports. And I have another sample report here, but we'll skip over our second sample report just for the sake of time. Oops. Okay, so dashboard. So I included just 2 visuals of 2 sample dashboards that are currently in the sandbox. And what a dashboard is it's a visual representation of report data. So what it does is it takes a source report, and you're able to add a graphical component to a source report and build out a dashboard with a series of components that display different types of data. Yep. And you can see I have 2 different screenshots here. It's a little hard to see, but here's the split down the middle. A dashboard on the left, a dashboard on the right. You can see that these are all individual dashboard components. Total amount by stage, and closed won or anything above an 80% probability, or a bar graph where we're looking at the amount that has been won by type, total accounts, so on and so forth. So there's sales manager type dashboards. We also have dashboards that can be specifically geared towards user adoption. So how many users have logged in? How many records have been created by users over a certain time period? So on and so forth. So really just depending on the type of user that we're trying to hone in on, we're able to configure and customize dashboards to be, a perfect visual representation of the data that a manager needs to see on the fly. And the way that the dashboards work are when you're looking at them, you can see the graphical components, but they also click through to the source report that is calculating the data.
Okay. So that's good. I like it.
So when we look at the dashboards tab, a user would click on the dashboards tab and they would be taken to a dashboard where they can review the data. You can use this drop down to review different dashboards. And then just to quickly show you the click through, I just clicked on that particular report dashboard component, and it brings me to a different report with specific, with its own specific filters and configuration as it relates to that particular dashboard piece.
Yep, brilliant. And then you can customize that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, well, that is specifically all I have. I'm going to turn it back over to Spencer. I know he has some items to wrap up the call and discuss next steps.
Okay.
I appreciate everyone's time today, and I know we have about 6 minutes left, so I'll make this pretty quick. I sent each of you an email for an invitation for Basecamp. That is our project management software that we use that allows us to have collaboration with our clients. Oh, sorry. So each one of you got that link. If you can just go ahead and click on that and set up an account, you'll be invited into the Basecamp project area that we have for the EaglePicher team, and we can start collaborating there, such as providing data dictionaries and asking questions, things of that nature. So look forward to starting you guys with that. Our next steps, we do need to schedule some more in-depth technical sessions that we will have to have with your team so we can actually document requirements. I'll be sending an email out probably by end of today or tomorrow morning with some times to actually schedule those.
Yeah. Later, right now, we're in the midst of a pretty deep proposal effort. So if we can make it at the end of next week, that would be helpful. The first 3 days are going to be we're going to be a little bit swamped.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
I will set something up for the end of next week, probably on Thursday, just to make sure
okay.
everyone's a good time. I'll get that out to you in an email. Is there a particular time that works for your team or you, sir?
I mean, if we know you got a lot of stuff going on. If you want to, you can get back to us either this evening or tomorrow morning with the time on Thursday that makes sense for your team. Like, give us like one or two different times for Thursday.
I'll probably forget about it. So just make a suggestion and we'll work around it.
Okay. All right. Especially we'll send you us at least 2 suggested days and times, one on Thursday, one on Friday, and then so what that session is going to be is we're going to go over what we call our data dictionary, which will be talking about like those pick list values that we talked about earlier, some other stuff as well. And then from that, then we'll schedule we'll get that information from you with the requirements document, and then we'll schedule the on-site to go over the actual solution design with you. It'll probably be solution design / first iteration, and that'll be the first on-site meeting. But we're totally aware, you got to make your money, so we're perfectly fine with that to work with you on that.
Okay. Good stuff. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll,
all right.
We'll talk again on Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Have a good one. Thank you.